this is Shane Haas. Welcome again to Healthcare Manager's Playbook. And this is the last episode, 12 out of 12, in the series about things I wish I knew before I was a director, particularly for the first time. And the last lesson is to lead with positivity. Being a leader, being a manager, oftentimes we get a lot of people popping by and telling you something's not good, something's not right, there's an issue with this, there's a problem with that. And being the receptacle for a lot of these complaints can be wearing at times. And if we don't find a way to turn that around, it can also contribute towards burnout or feelings that we're not doing a great job. And that is not the case. Leadership is just part of it. And we probably did this when we were therapists too. We would give our boss the issue of, hey, this piece of equipment's broken, or we need to have X, Y, or Z so we can do our jobs better. My computer's slow. This patient's cranky. So-and-so's not working well with me. Those are all normal things with the territory. So don't let that dominate the airwaves. Instead, let's turn it around and focus on leading with positivity. And we're fortunate in healthcare because there's all kinds of good stuff happening. So we just want to retrain our eyes so we can see all the really, really good things that are happening and then give feedback and talk to our team about this. Simple example, one time I was just walking through the gym and I noticed a therapist. He was on the mat table and he was demonstrating and really teaching and training this patient on the best way to transfer and get in and out of bed. And just caught him later on to let him know, hey, I saw that. And you were into it. You were teaching and you were doing a great job. And I think the patient came away from that with a lot better understanding and felt like their time was being valued. And just keep up the good work. And you would be surprised. The ability to give positive feedback on a regular basis is really absent in most departments. So if you can just integrate in that positivity in finding and catching people doing good things and letting them know you see it and asking for more, you're going to be way ahead of the ball game in this area. In his book, The Effective Manager, Mark Hortzman talks about trying to build up a 4-to-1 positive versus corrective feedback kind of ratio with your team. And many times there's this lazy concept. If you don't hear anything from me, then everything's good. But we need to do better than that as leaders and managers. We should not have a void or a vacuum be the standard if everything is good. That therapist should be getting a lot of positive feedback from you with very specific examples about what's good and asking them to keep up the good work. So try to gauge up to that 4-to-1 ratio. Another source that I think of when it comes to leading with positivity is Jocko Willink. In his book Extreme Ownership, he talks about this concept of default aggressive. And default aggressive works good if you're a Navy SEAL, but in healthcare, our default needs to be more of understanding and compassion, and that everybody's showing up to work hard on a given day. And things come up, and sometimes stuff takes away from that. But our default is that we're showing up to work hard and take really good care of patients. So when we enter into any situation, that default for us as leaders and managers tilts towards the positivity side. So where our default isn't when a problem comes up that somebody just didn't care enough, or they were being lazy, or they weren't paying attention. Our default is healthcare is hard, and we need to have that kind of that biased understanding that clinicians are showing up to work hard and give their best to help people get better. So develop your default wiring to be more on the positive side. In addition to giving positive feedback, let your default wiring also be positive. And continue with this during tougher times. There's going to be times where staff call in. We had a cyber security event where we had to go from computers to paper for an extended period of time. It could be periods of growth where we were struggling to keep up and take care of the volume of patients that are needing our help and needing our assistance. Anytime you have change, whether it's new equipment, new computers, new people, all of those times are where your team is going to really look at you, and they're going to take they're cues from you as to how to respond to that. So if your response is encouraging and we got this and we'll get through this together, we'll find our way, we'll get it all figured out, we'll make it through and we'll get to a better spot, that's how they're going to respond to it. So I hope your default is wired to be positive. No doubt in healthcare, we need positive leaders, we need positive leadership, and we need people that can find a way to navigate through sometimes pretty tough situations. So thanks so much for tuning into this series on the 12 things I wish I knew before I was a director. Stay plugged into the Healthcare Manager's Playbook as we talk about different things related to processes, managing ourselves, managing teams, and just a whole host of other topics that are important for us to get down so we can be really, really good managers. So thanks again. That's the end of this episode. We'll see you again in future ones. Thank you.